So this week, we are talking about we don't believe in dead ends. In this family, no dead ends.
Yeah.
It's always just an opportunity for growth.
I think that's really cool as just this mindset shift and something that we can always come back to as like a touch point as, oh yeah, we don't believe in dead ends. And so when we're moving through life, it's something that can help steer and guide us as we're coming up against roadblocks.
This one sign in particular, the dead end sign, was where we got this whole concept. And this idea, we don't believe in dead ends. The idea of when you get to the dead end, it's just your opportunity to go on the unbeaten path and to continue on and be that intrepid traveler that is like,
what's on the other side of this?
Let's go figure this thing out.
What is good about this? Like, what can I find that is an opportunity? And how can I see this differently? Because it's just like, I don't know, the more you live life, the more you realize they're not going to stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Adam and Maggie show. I think we have settled on that. I'm Adam.
And I'm Maggie.
This is Maggie, my beautiful, beautiful wife. And this is my delicious bulletproof coffee with a suit holder thing made by the one and only Tori Mata from Key West. Shout out. Thank you for making this. And
a coffee wetsuit.
The coffee wetsuit. That's what it is. Made from recycled wetsuit.
That has been in our life for over 10 years.
Yes.
That's incredible.
A lot of coffee has been held by this wetsuit.
Wetsuit in a jar.
You can't see Moji, but Moji is down at the feet right now.
He's literally lovely dog sitting on my foot right now.
And Eva, of course, our daughter, is behind the camera, fast asleep. So we are right in the middle of a window. But I do want to say that this week, I am so excited about our topic this week.
Me too.
Because it's something that we have been cultivating within our family.
Yeah.
And it kind of came out of a quote that we read in Excellent Advice for Living, the Kevin Kelly book that we talked about last week, about creating this idea of a family. And we are the type of family that does X. And so this week we are talking about we don't believe in dead ends. In this family, no dead ends.
Yeah.
It's always just an opportunity for growth and opportunity for movement. And before I jump into the story, I guess, of how we got there, Maggie, anything you want to talk about in this concept in particular?
Yeah, because it's really cool because it's a belief that we want to embody as a family.
Yes.
And I think that's really cool as just this mindset shift and something that we can always come back to as like a touch point as, oh yeah, we don't believe in dead ends. And so when we're moving through life, it's something that can help steer and guide us as we're coming up against roadblocks and we're having challenges and we're, as everyone does. So it's something that we can really hone in and embody as individuals and as a family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway.
So this, the phrase, we don't believe in dead ends, actually came about because Arlo and I have a jogging route that we take. It's a 2-mile route. It's 1 mile out, 1 mile back. And at the turnaround point, the 1 mile out, there's a sign, a big dead end sign. It says dead end. And we, I started this practice where when we get to that point, we would slap the sign and we would kind of make fun of it and be like, we don't believe in dead ends. Because just this concept of dead end, it was fun, something for us to do. But then it really became something that we have started to instill.
Yeah.
And now he's the one that gets so excited and will pull it into our normal life and say things like, oh yeah, Papa, we don't believe in dead ends, that kind of thing. And so it's just really fun for any concept in particular to be, this is something that we as a family believe. But for us, at this stage of our lives, this idea of no dead ends has been such a fun one. And so we'll have a photo in the show notes. It's also, we talk about it in the newsletter. A little bit more, but this one sign in particular, the dead end sign, was where we got this whole concept, and this idea. We don't believe in dead ends. We believe in, it's just the beginning of, and I think you had put it so beautifully in the newsletter, the idea of when you get to the dead end, it's just your opportunity to go on the unbeaten path.
Yeah.
And to continue on and be that intrepid traveler that is like,
what's on the other side of this?
Let's go figure this thing out. Let's go try. Let's go experiment. Let's go this way or this way or this way, all around trying to just continue to go.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And I think, and it's cool to then even like talk to our son about other people in our family that embody this characteristic as well. Mm-hmm. And okay, I just thought of this one, so I have to share it.
Yeah.
Of your dad at the cabin, and he was, what was he trying to fix?
Okay, so
he was trying to fix something.
This is, again, the idea of we're the type of family that does X. Mm-hmm. In the Pounds family, that's my last name. we don't believe in dead ends, and by golly, we fix things.
We will find a way.
We will find a way. We are good at solving problems. So my father was trying to get a trimmer started, like a weed whacker started, and the bubble thing that you push or press to prime the primer, right? Yeah. So to prime the engine, broke. So he didn't have the ability to prime it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh no, what do we do? What do we do? And so we're both kind of just staring at this engine for a little bit. All of a sudden he picks up the trimmer, brings it up to his mouth, puts his mouth over where the priming bulb is, and just sucks the gas into the carburetor and then spits a little bit out and then like up and going. I was like, holy cow. Because my brain was going like, okay, how can we get some sort of like suction? We'll like create some, rig up this thing, a little bit of duct tape, a little bit of, all of this. It was just like, I got you.
I got it.
I got it.
It came to him and he's like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just who we are.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's really cool because it's like, it was a challenge and it's like, I'm not going to let it get me down or think that I can't fix it, or it's just really cool to that's just one example. But we kind of also have talked about this concept in another way where it's very often that we look back on hard times or we look back on a challenge in our life. And it's not really in the moment that we're seeing like the good things that are coming from it, or like you're just so deep in it and it's like, oh, this sucks. And a lot of times it's only afterwards when we look back on it, or when a year has passed and we're like, oh, wow, if that wouldn't have happened, like all these other good things wouldn't have happened. Mm-hmm. Or I wouldn't have learned how to do this, or I wouldn't have gained these skills because through this challenge or something like that, or come up with a really great idea, Yeah. And so another aspect of this that I just think is really cool is then thinking beyond it and how can we, in the moment of a challenge, in the thick of it, how can we have that hindsight, and have that now and be able to recognize it now and bring that into our life that, wow, this is a challenge, but honestly, what is good about this? Like, what can I find that is an opportunity? And how can I see this differently? Because it's just like, I don't know, the more you live life, the more you realize they're not going to stop. The challenges are not going to stop.
So would you say it's more of a, in the moment, confronted by a challenge, trying to look for the good and forecast the potential good that can come from it? Or is it more of just accepting that this is a challenge and recognizing that we may not know what the good is, but we believe that there will be some good that will come of this? Yeah. Which of those, or maybe
honestly,
a mixture?
I think it's a mixture. Yeah. Because it depends on the thing. And sometimes it depends on how deep it is and how hard it is. Because I think there's little things that you bump up against in a day and you're like, this is a challenge. Okay. Like, it's not too rough, but I could fall into this trap if I let myself, but let me look for the good things. And I think sometimes that is harder. It is harder to see the things when something really does feel rough and hard. And it is really hard to see the good in it, So then it is kind of trusting and cultivating that trust in yourself that, I don't see it now, but something will come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have faith that it'll all come together.
Yeah.
And part of that too is creating this practice of gratitude and of looking back on past hard times and recognizing the good that has come from it.
Yeah.
Because then we as humans are really good at seeing patterns.
Yeah.
And so if we can consistently see the positive that comes from the challenges, and that becomes like the lens through which we see the world.
Right.
When we're confronted by challenges, it becomes easier to start to see the positive.
Right.
And also then to believe that the positive will come.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, it did the last 12 times I did this analysis,
Right.
And so, it can become a very active process of like, okay, let's look back on my life of some of the challenges that I've come to, and then actually catalog or actually note what the positive things that came of it were.
Right.
And
that's why I think that I just love that you brought that up, because I love it. That's why it's not just, just try to be happier when it's hard. That's not what it's about. It's about, that's why it's a family thing that we have to slap the sign every time, because we need that reinforcement, that reminder to choose to see the good. It's not just this easy thing, just try to find the good things. It's like, no, it's like we have to instill that in ourselves to try to find that, because it is not easy. It's not hard. I mean, it's not easy to do in the hard time. So yeah, I like that. Just that reinforcement. There's also a random quote. I have shows. Yeah. A random quote that I came across yesterday, and it also is sort of that research kind of thing that you were just talking about. Somebody said failure. What was it? Something about failure is just research.
Okay. Sure.
Like every time I fail, it's just research.
It's just an opportunity to learn something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that is, I don't know, kind of applicable in this situation too. Yeah.
So we've done a lot of research in our lives. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
We'd have a lot more research ahead of us, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way if you just took the word failure out of it and just substituted the word like research or lesson.
Yeah.
We have a lot of lessons.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And I think that's the same thing with like the dead end or the roadblock. Like it really is just a mindset shift that and I don't know, in a way, like we can just be kind of crazy and start to see it as something really good. Like, oh wow, this is really hard. But actually this is a point where I get to be really creative, or I get to like, I don't know, cultivate characteristics in myself that I wouldn't have otherwise. Like even last night, I was just thinking, okay, so Adam went on a run with our dog.
Oh my gosh.
And because all of this was in my mind,
yes,
I was thinking about that. Like, if you want to tell this quick story.
So I went on a run. It wasn't terribly late, maybe like 8:39, but it's getting dark because it's fall. So went on a run just with Moji to get him out and about. And we were after about a 2-mile run. So we were coming back, and we were, I don't know, maybe
like
50 yards from the house, something. Yeah. We were really close to the house. All of a sudden he sees something off in the distance and just bolts after it. And I look and I'm like, oh, is that a cat? No, it was not a cat. And I saw a tail and I was like, Moji, no. And he got sprayed by a skunk. So here we are. It's like 9:00 at night now at this point, 9:30. And everyone's all ready for bed and in bed. Yep. And I come in and I'm like, oh golly.
I guess I gotta wash our Moji.
Yeah. And I had our baby in the stroller.
Yeah.
I was like, Moji, stay away from us. Stay away.
I know. So, but it was cool because I was thinking about that and I was like, okay, this is a challenge. This is happening. And it was, so I consciously kind of tried to think like, what are the good things that are coming from this? Because this really is sucky for you, especially. And then I don't know, I just was kind of getting creative and thinking, wow, this is really cool for our son to see his dad just kind of pushing through. Like, this is what we have to do. I'm really tired. I want to go to bed, but I'm watching Moji and it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, just trying to think like, what are the things, like what are the characteristics that you're building as you're moving through these things, and
what opportunities are there for you to you like build those muscles? And strengthen those muscles of perseverance and determination and creativity and opportunity.
And when we're aware of them, when we're aware to move through life in this different mindset, in this different perspective, in this different way, then we can really see every challenge as an opportunity to create a lesson out of it and to like explain to our son something that you're, doing in a different way, where it's like, otherwise if I'm not in that mindset, I'm just gonna power through and it's gonna suck and it'll be hard, and that's what it's gonna be about, instead of, hey, let's talk about this. Or even and if it's something where you're not even looping somebody else into, but just even for yourself, hey, I'm cultivating like perseverance right now. I'm pushing through. And, things like that.
So to get a little meta
funny.
With all of this, we've talked about the family and no dead ends. And we've talked about, just general aspects of life and utilizing this. But as we are leaning into this year of living intentionally and kind of this online creation space, where
what are we doing? What are we doing?
What are we here for? There have been so many what felt like dead ends. So many research opportunities.
Right.
Lots of failure, lots of chances to grow. And this has been a really helpful mentality, because there have been times where the dead ends, it's not even, here we are talking about this idea of dead ends and looking beyond it. It doesn't mean it's always easy in practice. Like there's been so many dead ends that we have hit, whether that's like technology or, just quality. It's not, or like having a vision of what you want. And it's not the vision that you want. And it feels like you're hitting these dead ends, these roadblocks. And it can be really demoralizing and difficult to find the good. But again, I think back on some of the roadblocks that we hit, and like the result has been that we are in a much better place as far as like what we're trying to do and the mentality of it and the strength that we have and the resilience that we have through this whole process.
And the courage that we're building within ourselves, to put ourselves out there and to be afraid, but do it anyway, And I think it's funny because like we laugh about it even now that we're like, what is this? What are we doing? Like we say that all the time just as like a funny joke, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? But it's because it was born out of like, for real, what are we doing? I
still feel that way though.
I know. Maybe we joke about it to make us feel better.
Right.
But I think everybody can relate to that. And I kind of wrote about this just very briefly too, but having a son who's 7 and then now we're in a newborn stage, we had time where we could do things without interruption and things like that. And just getting used to that has been a challenge, having a newborn, and there's always constant interruption and it feels like roadblock after roadblock. And you're like, I just want to get this thing done.
Like, I'm in the middle of this email. I want to finish this email and I can't.
And so even just in that space and having this mentality, oh my word, it helps me so much to just center myself again and be like, she's only this age for so long. Be here, be present. Like it's okay. Even if it feels like a roadblock. And so even just doing that, it's like, that's cultivating.
So in a sense, that roadblock is also an opportunity to pause. And just create some space around space.
What?
Sorry, as a reference to a previous episode.
And I remember this the first time breastfeeding, but it is like, instead of being like, oh, I have to stop what I'm doing every single time, it's, oh, hey, this is a moment that I get to just be present and I get to take a breath, take a moment out of my day to just sit and be here, you know? So it's a challenge,
the
but
baby
it's
really
really
calls
cool.
you
It's
into
really
that
cool.
space of like patience.
Yes.
And I think, well, I don't have like the biological relationship in terms of like breastfeeding.
Yeah.
But I have started to cultivate that practice of like when I'm holding her or when I'm trying to calm her down, or maybe she's just happy, but she just needs someone to hold her.
Yeah.
Just to really be present. Be like, this is what I'm doing at this moment. And don't try and multitask.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll multitask, but every time I do, it doesn't turn out the way that you want.
Like, this is just getting me more frustrated.
Yeah. I'm like, I'd rather just sit and stare at you and make funny faces at you.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a good deal.
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I think this actually is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode.
Yeah.
Our little baby is waking up again.
Speaking of.
And so we are going to wrap this up. And so again, Maggie, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking about this idea of we don't believe in this family. We don't believe in dead ends.
Yeah.
So
it's
any
cool.
Closing words, anything you want to wrap up?
I just love talking to you.
Yeah.
And I love that we get to bring our morning coffee chats into this space.
Well, I do want to introduce Moji. So if you're on YouTube, Moji, come here.
Moji.
Come here.
He's like, I'm a little tired.
So if you're on YouTube, you can see little Moji here. He's the best dog in the history of the world. We actually just had
He smells pretty good now.
He smells a lot better now. It's a little bit on the collar. You get a little funk.
I can smell it a little bit.
We just had a 2-year-old birthday party for him, and it was so much fun. We had a lot of people over.
Yes.
We're one of those weird people that have dog birthdays.
Yeah.
It's our excuse for getting everyone together.
Exactly. It's our excuse for community.
That's right.
Oh, my word. Anyway.
Right. Thank you so much for sitting down with us today.
Yes.
And I hope you guys can also take the idea of not letting dead ends be a dead end, but just an opportunity for growth. The challenge that we put in the newsletter is to go out and find your own dead end sign. Give it a good slap. Take a picture with it and be like, we don't believe in dead ends.
I don't believe in it.
I don't believe in dead ends.
Changing that belief.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't received the newsletter or would like to go a little bit deeper into that, you can go to adamandmaggie.com and sign up for that. If you have read it and are here listening to the podcast, thank you.
Yay. Yeah,
All right.
Seriously.
Appreciate
I love it.
Thanks so much and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.